friends, welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be a little raw, a little real, but I've felt like a little necessary for a really long time. So grab a cup of coffee, get a cup of tea, pull up a chair, and I just wanted to share one of the hardest experiences I've ever been through in hopes that if you've been through something similar, you know that there's so much goodness on the other side, but boy, is it hard while you're going through it. In January 2006, I had no idea what was around the corner for me. I thought that I was in a great place in my life. I had so much potential and opportunity and possibility. And I'm definitely not saying that my experience in a psych ward took that away, but I had no idea what was coming. I felt absolutely blindsided. So I had just made it through some really hard hurdles. So I had just graduated from graduate school. I just left a long-term abusive relationship of 4 years. I just found a really amazing church and my spirituality was blooming. My relationship with God was blooming. I felt so much purpose, so many things inside of me coming alive. And then I ended up voluntarily checking myself into a psych ward. And so that is what I want to share with you today. What that looks like 17 years later. I've always had some sort of embarrassment around it, I guess, because back then people weren't so open and honest about mental health. And after I started my journey with God, everything in my life changed. I was a new person. I had a new confidence. I left a lot of the things in my past that I was doing just searching for love. And for the first time, I felt truly loved, but yet I was still searching for that man, that person to show me love and acceptance. And I started spending a lot of time seeking what I thought was God's will for my life. I started spending a lot of quiet time in journaling, and it was such a great season in my life. I was just having so many visions of what I felt was God's future for my life. I saw a glimpse of my future spouse. I saw a glimpse in me on stage, which felt so not like me. I was never a person to want to be on camera, never a person to want to be on stage. And so that felt like thrilling and terrifying all at the same time. And y'all, I hate to say it, but I was that girl. I found a guy at the church that I was going to. We started dating. I started having these dreams. Sure enough, I felt like he was supposed to be my husband, and I let him know that. If you are out there watching this video by any chance, I'm honestly glad I did it. I'm glad I told him. I'm glad I was wrong, because I would not have found my amazing husband. He found me. But anyways, I digress. So I was getting less and less sleep because I was just so excited. For the first time in my life, I was so excited about life. I had purpose, I had visions, I had dreams, I had what I felt like was so much to look forward to. I was no longer in this terribly codependent, abusive relationship with an alcoholic. I was like, wow, there's men who treat women good. This is great. And I thought that I found my long-term guy, right? I thought that this was what was in my future, what was in store for me. And so one of my biggest lessons about faith and visions and future and purpose and promise, not everybody is meant to hear those things, right? You don't just go calling every family member, every friend, and telling them what you feel like is going to happen in your future. Lesson 2 that I really had to learn: timing is everything. Timing is everything. And when I started having these visions and all these things, I thought that, oh my gosh, like I need to get ready right now, right? I had no idea that there's such a thing as like, you know, future, right? This could be a year from now. This could be 6 months from now. And so, for example, I had a feeling and a vision that I was going to be moving, and my lease was not about to be up. But don't you know, homegirl, yeah, that's me, started packing up my stuff. I started taking pictures off the walls. I don't know if this is something you have ever done or you have ever heard of anyone doing. I've heard of one other person that has done this, so it made me feel a little bit better. So if that's been you at one point in your life, feel free to comment below, honey. But so I started packing my things, and of course my roommate is like, and so people started talking like, what's going on with Erin? She's not getting enough sleep. She's saying crazy things. Everything you might feel when you pray, or you might see when you meditate, or you might dream in your dreams. Journal it, write it down, date it, sit back and wait. Or of course, if this is about business or something, take action towards that dream. If you are feeling that you are supposed to be moving, you don't need to wake up and pack the next day. So as my family starts worrying, as my friends start talking, friends, family, people communicating, you know, this plan kind of starts arising of, we need to take her to a mental hospital. We need to take her to a psychiatric center. She needs to be diagnosed or have a mental health assessment. We need to make sure she's okay. And I've always been the dreamer. I've always been the positive one. What's funny is, even in this experience, even when I wasn't sure what was about to happen with me, I had a feeling that I was going to need to stay positive, to be the positive light for the family around me that was probably tripping out that Erin is about to go to a mental hospital. Like, family members were not okay with what is happening. She has never showed any signs of needing something like this, or going crazy, or having a breakdown. So, I had people thinking I was on drugs, people thinking I was having like a psychotic break, which maybe I was. So when my family came to pick me up, I was dressed to the nine. I had sharp black pants on. I had a gorgeous top on that was sold at the boutique that I managed at the time. I did my hair, I did my makeup, and I just remember keeping my composure, keeping my cool, feeling like, you know what, whatever's about to go down, I am not gonna go down looking poor and pathetic. I am gonna go down being positive, looking my best, not to put on a mask or put on a fake faith, but I felt like my faith was being tested. And not like, by God, upstairs, like, let me see if you pass this test, but really like, are you gonna have faith in me now? Even when you're about to go to the psych ward, even when you might hear a diagnosis that you don't want to hear or you don't feel is true, even when you just came through years of abuse and years of negativity, and now you're at this like great, beautiful place in life where you don't think you should be going to a psych ward. So it was absolutely an opportunity for me to have faith. Absolutely. So once I arrived there, a lot of things have been blocked out, whether it's subconsciously, or the fact that I wasn't getting a lot of sleep, or just because I chose to forget a lot of it. But I remember being asked questions at Taken. I remember, getting into whatever outfit they had me get in. I remember pretending that I was taking the medicine that they were giving me and getting caught. Like, I felt like I was in a movie. I like slipped it under my tongue, spit it in the trash can. They're like, Swartz, which that was my maiden last name, Swartz, come back. Like, they gave it to me again. But more than anything, I remember just how truly off I began to feel once they had me on medication. And this whatsoever is not me bashing medication or putting down that those things are needed and those things can be used. But I know personally for me, like, they might have said that I was experiencing euphoria and psychosis, but I didn't really truly feel like I was experiencing psychosis until they were giving me whatever they were giving me. I remember saying some really off the wall things to friends and family that visited me. I remember having having theories about what was going on with me and relating it to my spirituality or my relationship with God. And at the end of the week, they ended up diagnosing me with bipolar disorder. And I knew in my heart that was not the case, because I knew that up until then, the things that led me to go into the mental health hospital, remember, it was me communicating these visions, telling people these visions that I probably shouldn't have been telling all these people to, or it was not really understanding the timing of the visions and the things that I felt were in my future. I remember thinking a man was for me, and oops, clearly I got that wrong, right? But at the end of that week, I remember her telling me, look, if you don't continue this medication, you will be back. And that was a really, really sobering moment for me, because I remember like, okay, this is my time to absolutely walk out my faith, because I know that I do not have bipolar disorder. I'm not at all saying being diagnosed with bipolar disorder has to be scary or you have to not believe it. But I knew for my journey that was not my truth. I knew that the circumstances that led me to the mental health hospital was not a repetitive pattern in my life. And so that was an opportunity when she spoke those words over me. That was an opportunity for me to walk out what I was believing. And I remember afterwards, certain family members saying I was in denial, giving me books about bipolar disorder. And I remember just being angry. God, like, you've brought me this far. Like, I went through all of that mess. All the mess of abuse and drugs and drama and trauma, and I started walking with you, and this is where I am. I've got people doubting like my mental health, not believing where I'm at with you, like mentally right now after the hospital. But again, it was really a choice where I had to draw a line in the sand. This isn't where I am. This isn't who I am. This diagnosis is not me. And I threw out the prescriptions, and although it probably took me at least 6 months to really process what happened, if not more, and to get my mental health back on track in regards to not being so pissed off at God, for me to really be okay talking about it, for me to move to South Carolina, which is funny because I always said I wouldn't move here, for me to move to South Carolina and end up meeting my future husband and being able to talk about it. I knew that when I was able to share that mental health hospital experience with him, and it just rolled off his back like it was just no big deal. Like, I was terrified to talk to him about it. Absolutely terrified. And when I was able to bring that up and talk to him about it, and he just accepted me and was like, wow, so like, what's going on in your life now? Or like whatever we were talking about that day, I knew like, oh my God, like this is the guy that I would meet quick, and that I may possibly be on stage with one day, which now we do experience that together. This is the guy that was in those visions and dreams. Thank you. Thank you that no to that other guy that I felt was the it guy. Thank you for that no. Thank you for that hardship. Thank you for that diagnosis. Thank you that diagnosis that literally forced me to go to South Carolina because I got laid off at my job, because my roommate moved out, because I couldn't afford the rent, like all of these terrible things, well, that I thought were terrible at the time. They were all working in relationship with each other. But if you take any encouragement or any value or take any glimmer or miracle from this mess that I went through, just please know that your spiritual journey, your journey with God, will never look perfect. There's always gonna be some mess. There's always gonna be some drama, some things that you don't want to go through. But there could be some really, really beautiful miracles on the other side of that. 2, don't be ashamed to talk about it. For me, I'm walking this out right now. I've only talked about this experience in front of a few people. I've shared it on stage. I've shared it with some friends. I've shared it with a group of ladies. You can't be ashamed to talk about the things in your story that have brought you to where you are, that have made you who you are. Those things encourage others. Those things can help you be more vulnerable and more authentic. And 3, not everybody is deserving of hearing your visions or your dreams. Not everybody's gonna know how to walk with you through that. Not everybody is gonna have the faith it takes to walk with you through those things. And that's okay. And that's okay. And really sitting and being still, you will see who those people are in your life. And so for the man that told me I wasn't supposed to be his wife, thank you. For the doctor that told me I would be back, thank you. I know you were just doing your job. I know you were sharing your truth. Back then, for me, it was really hard to hear. What that diagnosis that week in the hospital taught me is sometimes we have to unexpectedly start over. We have to start over from what feels like scratch. And it's not comfortable. It's frustrating. Sometimes it's terrifying. But if you stay focused on walking it out in faith, even knowing that a lot of those days you're not going to feel fine, and that's fine. That's okay. It's going to be part of your journey, and sharing that with others is going to bring healing to not only others, but yourself as well. So until next time, I hope you can get out of that pretty little head. Even with sharing the hard stories and moving forward in your life in the areas where you might be stuck or you might be in a bit of hibernation. So I will see you next time.